Hi, I'm Andy Brown. I'm with the Climer Real Estate School. I want to do a couple more math problem videos for you. But once again, let me start out by reminding you, go to the website, climerrealestateschool.com. We've got that free 100 question practice exam for you. If you haven't downloaded that and tried the math questions at the end, please stop watching right now. Go and do the math questions first and then come back. If you've done that, you got it in front of you, go ahead and stay with us. I also want to remind you that this is the textbook we use. If you have a different textbook, you're not in the textbook with the Climer Real Estate School. This is the 37th edition, Florida Real Estate Principles. It was written by Linda Crawford. She's a professor at the University of Florida. She's probably more in tune with what's going on with Florida real estate law and principles and practices than anyone else in the state. We think this is the best textbook for the state of Florida exam. And that's why we use it. Also, in one of the last videos for questions 91 and 92, I talked about question 93. I said that's the one where Ron is wearing the blue shirt, and that's not right. Question 93 is the one where it has its own title, question 93. I'm not going to do 93 because it's already up. Questions 94 and 96, those are the two where Ron's wearing the blue shirt. So since he's already done a video for that, I'm also going to skip over those. But I want to start out now with question 95. That's what we're going to start with. Question 95 is another one of those income capitalization rate. Tends to sometimes get people messed up a little bit. Say it again.
Go ahead.
What I want to remind you is, anytime, well actually, let me read the question first. Here's the question for 95. An income producing property has an effective gross income of $81,420. Vacancy losses are expected to be 10%. Expenses are $40,000. If the price of the property is $250,000, what is the capitalization rate? Now, if you remember, if you've watched my previous video, I talk about how to do word problems for math. You have to read them carefully, and the most important part of a word problem is making sure you know what they're asking, which is always at the end. In this case, they want to know what is the capitalization rate if the price of the property is $250,000. Then they give you information. And a lot of times, especially on the state exam, they're going to give you information that you don't need just to try to mess you up. So what I want to do is go through, start off by telling you the correct answer is B, 16.5%. Let's figure out how to do that. Now the other part of this is you have to remember the flow of numbers for something like a capitalization question for income producing property. Potential gross income is the amount that's available if everything was kicking, everything was coming in. Then you subtract vacancy and collections, and that gives you effective gross income. Then you subtract expenses, and that gives you NOI, or net operating income. And I agree with Ron when he says, if you don't know these terms, you don't have a math issue, you have a vocabulary issue. You've got to know the words, the vocabulary, the lingo for your chosen profession, which is now the real estate field. So assuming that we have that, let's solve the problem. We start with, what do we know? All right, we know that this property has an effective gross income of $81,420. The next thing they tell you is vacancy losses are expected to be 10%. Do we care? Vacancy losses come out of potential gross income, to give you effective, we already know it. They threw that in there just to mess you up. They want you to do something with that number that will purposely give you the wrong answer. You know you don't need vacancy losses. So forget about that. But what else do we have? Expenses are $40,000. What do we do with that? We need to calculate net operating income, NOI. Effective gross income minus expenses equals net operating income. One of the students asked me, what did I mean by a four-function calculator? Four-function calculator is the cheapest one. Ron likes to call it four-function calculator. It's a $4 calculator. I like to get them for $1.99. These are the ones that have plus, minus, multiplication, and division. You don't need anything else for the test. You don't need the fancy calculators that teach you capitalization rates, that give you amortization schedules. You need a $1, $2, $3, $4 four-function calculator. So when I say grab your four-function calculator, I mean get that thing that you can get from the drugstore that has those four functions. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, that's all you need. Right now, I'm going to prove it. $81,240 minus $40,000 is $41,240. That is our NOI. We're halfway there. Now we go back to our memory peg. I over RV. Memory peg, not a formula. We go over the slide. Income over rate of return times value. What are we looking for? R, rate of return. R equals I over V. Rate of return equals income over value. We have our income, our NOI, which is $41,240. And the question gives us the value, $250,000. If we divide through on the four-function calculator, you will get $0.165. The way that we convert a decimal into percentages is to move the decimal place over 2 spots. 1, 2. The answer is B, 16.5%. When you get to your math problems, read through them slowly, take a deep breath. Don't stop reading through them until you get to the end, which is where they tell you exactly what they're looking for. Then go back through, pull out the information that you need, and get rid of the information that you don't need. All right. Let's move on to question 97 in the practice exam. An investor bought 3 houses for a total of $44,000. The second house cost $6,000 more than the first. The third house cost $4,000 more than the second house. How much did the first cost? So they're asking you very specifically, of the 3 houses, how much did the first one cost? They don't really care how much the second one cost. They don't care how much the third one cost. But you kind of have to know, don't you? Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. Previous video reminded you that every single right answer is given to you in the test. You just have to figure out which ones you have to get rid of. So the right answer is in this question too. In this case, it's A. The right answer is $9,333.33. A lot of times you can back into the answer by starting with what they give you and working through and see which ones work. We're going to do it both ways. All right, so we know one thing. The second house cost $6,000 more than the first house. How do we know that? It tells us in the problem. We also know that the third house not only costs $4,000 more than the second house, but that has to mean that it cost $10,000 more than the first house. Second house was $6,000 more, the third house was $4,000 more. So the third house was $10,000 more than the first house cost. The investor paid $44,000 for all 3 houses. So I'm going to subtract the $16,000 that he paid extra for the second and the third house from how much he paid for all 3. What do we get? For a function calculator, $44,000 minus $16,000 is $28,000. If we divide through by 3 for the 3 houses, we're going to get our answer. The first house cost $9,333.33. How much did the second house cost? I want you to go through this on your own just to verify. The second house cost $9,333.33 plus $6,000. The question tells us that. The third house cost $9,333.33 plus $10,000 or plus the $6,000 more than the second plus the $4,000, which is the same thing. If you add all 3 of those together, you should get $44,000. If you don't get $44,000, one of us did something wrong. Go through again, check your math, study hard, and we'll see you in class.